Hello, race fans. Welcome to another episode of Short Track Guys Podcast, brought to you by ShortTrackExclusives.com. I'm your host, Thomas Battis, alongside two other Short Track guys in the studio this week. Ted Baber Video Productions here in Pensacola, Florida, and Jim Pokrant, driver of the 07 Can'tQuitFishing.com Sportsman and 2021 Sportsman Champion. And Jim, I do apologize for not mentioning that last week. Please forgive me. We've got a big show tonight. We're going to get into that shop with Jim and his sportsman class, getting ready for that Derby race. There's a big pro late model race coming up Saturday night in Montgomery. We're going to go over, Ted's got a list of some of the Snowball Derby and Snowplate 100 entries, which seems to get bigger every single minute.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end, we're going to get with Junior Motorsports and that pro late model stock car series race, the South Carolina 400 at Florence, South Carolina, coming up. And then we're going to probably end the rest of the segment with what that big deal was in Martinsville with Ross Chastain. So you want to stay tuned for this because we got a big discussion about how that all went down. But first, let's get in the shop and see what Jim's got with that sportsman car.
Well, we're getting a new body put on it. Finished it up last night, sanded it down. Ben Cranford's going to get it painted for me. I really appreciate that. We're going to do a police paint scheme this year. It's going to be black and white with a blue stripe, just for the men and women who serve our great nation as being police officers, because they get a tough rap, and I support them 110%. Police lives matter, as far as I'm concerned, so it's going to go on the back of the car. I think it'd be pretty cool. And we're going to try to get maybe the Pensacola Police Department or get Escambia County maybe to give us a decal to put on the car.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'd be pretty neat, just kind of for those people. And of course, the blue stripe is a thin blue line, so that's kind of cool. Yeah. But we're doing that. We got to change the rear end. Thank you, Martin Beck, for getting us that 9-inch Ford rear end. We're going to put underneath the car. We got a gear coming. We're going to try something different at the Derby and see if it works.
Hey, that's what you got to keep pushing the envelope.
Well, I mean, considering what I'm running against, I probably got the most legal car in the division. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah.
But we're going to get it done. We're going to have some fun, and that's what the Derby's all about.
And probably the one with the lowest budget.
Yeah, and part of that conversation we got into early before we moved on, you had a meeting last night with the rules?
Yeah, they called us out there, and they're talking about changing a few rules. There's a few things that we wanted to do away with. One of them was the right front camber rule, 2 inches of camber. Screw that. We can run as much or as little as we want. That shouldn't be a problem. They want to lower the ride heights. A couple of guys wanted weight jacks in the front, but see, that's just going to get where the expenses are going to get too high because the shocks are twice as expensive. And then you're going to start seeing late model shocks on super stocks. We can't afford that.
Yeah, it just gets crazy. I mean, the more rules creep means money creep. The more.
And right now, with the economy the way it is, we should be trying to cut back as much as possible to help the drivers. It's because the economy's bad. And, I come up with an idea. The outlaw stocks, the trucks, and the modifieds all run the same tire. Buy the tires back from those guys and sell them to us for $100 a set. It would save us a ton of money. I know everybody's on board with that, but Nicholas said, well, the problem is what if we run out of stock? Okay, well, then we could maybe buy 2 new tires every once in a while to keep that stock up.
Right. Yeah.
And he's like, well, yeah, I'd like to do that because I know they do it up. Then that would save us a ton of money. I mean, right now it's $600-something for a set of tires.
Yeah. Right. Has that tire situation really gotten any better up until this point?
Not really. It's supposedly by next year, Hoosier's supposed to have everything back online. American Racer doesn't have a problem. And I found out that in Mobile, this is what they told me, that she's buying them from American Racer and she's marking them up. So the tires over there are more expensive than our tires are. Wow. I mean, I understand what she's doing. I get it. But, when you got the pure stocks run on that tire for $250 to win and Sportsmen are on that same tire for $300 to win, at least Five Flags pays $500, at least you recoup some of your money. I get we're not going to make any money back. I understand that. But it's never going to happen unless we get the car count way up and then Tim can afford to pay us more. But I mean, the tire situation, it should get better. I'm hopefully that it will by next year and won't be so bad. And I pray that my sponsors, and I really thank all of them that have come on board this year and helped us out, stick around and, we can go run hard next year.
Yeah.
Well, that's the plan now still. You're going to play it by ear throughout the end of the year after the Derby and then make your mind up?
Yeah, pretty much. It all depends on if we can get another motor because the motor that's in my car belongs to Ben Cranford. And he's I think the car he's building now may end up being a Sportsman or he may run pure stock. I don't know. But that motor was originally for our outlaw stock anyway. So Thanks to Martin Beck for getting the 9-inch Ford for us, and we're going to try to build us a motor this winter and be ready for next year.
Yeah, it's a big event. If you haven't been there, or if you look forward to coming back, just be there for the whole week. It's going to be. It's going to be a big event like it is every year, but I think that entry list we're going to get into just shortly seems to be growing, and there's a lot of good names coming in here just on top of what we've been mentioning for the last, year and a half over?
Oh, yep. Yes. And you know what's super cool is right now, and I know we're not a NASCAR podcast, but in the Cup Championship, you have 2 previous Snowball Derby winners.
Yes.
With Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott. And for the Xfinity Championship, you have Noah Gragson, Snowball Derby winner. And you have 2 Snowball Derby winners in Chandler Smith and Ty Majeski going for the Truck Championship.
Yes.
Do you know how cool that is? Yeah. And how many Cup drivers are Snowball Derby winners?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's Eric like the road to Cup for these young drivers comes through Snowball. If you win a Snowball Derby, it's going to pole vault you into a good ride.
Yeah, it opens doors for sure.
It definitely does. I mean, there's a lot of drivers that are still in Cup racing that are
Eric Jones.
Christian Eckes is racing in the Truck Series. He's good. I mean, and Chandler Smith, like I said, him and Ty Majeski are going for the championship.
And a lot of those names that Jim just put out there, you're going to hear again when Ted gets back on with this entry list for the Snowball and a Snowflake. Before they get to that weekend, they've got one in Montgomery Motor Speedway. It's the Alabama Asphalt State Championship at Montgomery this weekend, November 5th on a Saturday night. It's part of that Show Me the Money series. Evan Shotko from Cooperstown, Michigan. Jeff Dawkins from Deatonsville, Alabama. Gavin Graham, which we've mentioned a couple of times here, maybe in the last year, from Polk City, Florida. Gio Ruggiero, driving with the Anthony Campy Racing Stable from Seacock, Massachusetts. Justin Bonnet and JoJo Wilkinson from Bessemer, Alabama, and Hueytown, Alabama, respectively. Going to be somewhat of maybe some local pressure in there to get some of these guys not to take that trophy back to that other state.
Keep it local.
Yeah, keep it local. You're Alabama state champion, be an Alabama champion. Yeah, that'd be cool.
And the list from that goes on and on. I just wrote down 5 or 6 there that gives you an idea. Those guys and gals from Montgomery, after this weekend, are pretty much a tune-up, and they'll be down here for practice and everything. They've got it on their schedule, and everybody's radar's got it down, and they know when to be here. So it's going to be a great show there in Montgomery.
Oh, yeah, it always is. I mean, you got Sam Narrison. He puts on a good show up there and runs a tight ship and a good racetrack. So be good to see that.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Now, it's right around the corner, too. This one's Saturday night. And then, the Derby, we'll be talking about this January. What are we going to do now? But we'll go back right into it. It's a quick, short turnaround. We'll get right back into some of the big races. But
we do have to find out about what's going to happen with the Lee Fields. It did get washed out. We got to find out when's it going to be rescheduled. I haven't heard anything on that yet.
Okay.
I want to find out from Gina what's going to happen with that, too.
Oh, yeah. So we'll, keep your ears out for that, too. We'll bring that up as soon as we get word of when that Lee Fields Memorial, right, at Mobile International, with Gina and her crew. They're doing a great job in conjunction with the Houston Motorsports Park, and a lot of those drivers will be over there too if that does happen to come to fruition. So,
I'm hoping
a lot of those guys will come down here for the Derby and the Snowflake on Saturday night.
Well, what about also that new Stars Late Model series that's going to run all across the country? They're trying to combine all the big late model series into one national champion. They discussed that, and they had a meeting at the All-American 400 to talk about it. Bubba Pollard was in on it, and a bunch of the guys. Bob Sargent is the guy that's going to run. He's in charge of it. Right. And the only concern a couple of drivers have is tires, of course. What tires are we going to run? Because tire shortages and problems. And Bubba Pollard brought up something that I didn't think about. The Midwest late model series, their deal up there, they're running wild up there. They got tons of late models, tons of drivers, good show, but their cars are a little different. And Bubba's concern is don't mess with those guys.
Right.
Leave them alone. Let's try to work it out where the Southern Super Series is going to be involved. The Cars Tour, I think, is going to be involved. They're all going to work together to have a 10-race national championship series.
Ooh, that'll be so cool.
Well, if it brings the money back, as far as prize money is concerned, you'll have more late model teams.
Yep.
Around here, late model racing down here is starting to die off because people can't afford it, and there's no big money races to make the money up. So if you do something like that and you pay these guys, it's going to be a heck of a show. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a great idea, and I got something else that we got to keep an eye on and look forward to as far as short track racing is concerned, because if that thing grows and does like, the SRX series or something like that, that's going to be super cool, because you're going to have a guy like Bubba Pollard could be a national champion, not just a, Southern Super Series champion, not a Blizzard Series champion, but a national super late model champion. And that'll lift him right up to, and on the level with the NASCAR series.
Yeah, I think a national super late model series champion would be pretty cool to have on everybody's resume. Now you can go around and win just about every big race and championships and then be the one. Right. So I think that's pretty cool. And speaking of, this guy from Pinellas Park down there just goes up to Indiana and wins for the second year at the Winchester 400, goes home, reloads, gets regrouped, and goes to Nashville, the All-American 400, and comes over there and takes home that guitar.
Yeah, Stephen Nassie's done a heck of a job. There was a picture of Greg Janes holding the guitar. He works on that car. He's from Pensacola. Setup guru, car builder locally he was. Now he's living in Pinellas Park working on Nassie stuff. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, it's a shame that Matt Craig should have been the winner and got screwed on that deal with that little deal with Austin Nation and the 53 of Cole Butcher. It was just a racing deal. I have yet to figure out why he was black flagged and sent to the rear for doing absolutely nothing but going straight in a straight line. He didn't cut that man down. I've seen, y'all can look up the video if you'd like. Yeah. Racing America has it, and it's a BS call. I'm sorry. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I don't like that at all. When the man's leading the race, how do you call him for spinning somebody out? I've never seen somebody cut down on somebody and spin somebody out.
Not take themselves out in the process.
Then Austin Nation turned down, got loose, and Cole Butcher hit him, and then Austin Nation went up in the air, which was scary crash to begin with, because he got airborne. The back of the car picked it up in the air, and you could read his roof number from the front of the car. That was scary.
Was that a director call?
Yes, it was.
Probably.
The race director of the Southern Super Series, whose name shall name nameless. Everybody knows who he is, so it's not a big deal. Matt Craig got out and went to chewing on Tim Bryant, and his dad was like, he had nothing to do with it. It was the man in the tower. Let him explain himself. And he was like, I don't understand how I can be black flagged for going straight. He said, yes, Austin Nation and I collided, but Cole Butcher hit him at about the time they collided. So it's mainly Cole Butcher's fault, because Cole Butcher spun him.
Yeah. That's what it looked like. I mean, to me, that's what it looked like. Matt Craig gave them both plenty of room, and, they're both coming to take the white flag.
Yeah. And Matt Craig has a point. He spends an awful lot of money with the Southern Super Series and stuff like that to come race these races. And he said to get a call like that, he said, it hurts. Because we would have won the All-American 400. But congratulations to Stephen Nassie. Great job. 2 great big wins this year. He's been kind of quiet the last couple of years. He's won here and there, a little bit here and there, but nothing big. And he's coming on strong. He'll be a contender at the Derby, I guarantee you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And congratulations on top of that with Jake Bowman, too, from Huntington Beach, California, taking the Pro Late Model race in Nashville, that part of that All-American 400 weekend. And they will both be here. One's running Snowball and the Snowflake, and Jake will just be running the Alan Turner Snowflake 100. So right now they've got 38 entries listed for the Snowflake, and 47 entries in a super, and there's some big names in this list.
There's a whole lot of them. Let's start off with the Minnesota Missile, William Sawalich. And this is just a who's who. I really hate to skip anybody, but, man, it would take way too much time to get all this. Luke Fenhouse, Jackson Boone, Derek Krause, Derek Griffin, Austin Nason, who we were just talking about, Carson Hosevar, Chandler Smith, Hunter Robbins, Sammy Smith, Connor O'Kresick, William Byron, obviously Bubba Pollard. Go, Bubba! Casey Roderick, Carson Quapple, Jay Garcia. It's just a who's who of drivers that we've heard before and we'll hear again, hopefully. Again.
I mean, I see where Connor O'Kresick's actually in there. He's been off to college. He's went to college out in Colorado. He hasn't been doing much racing this year, so he's going to be there. So that'll be interesting.
We see Stephen Nassie and Boris Yurkovic.
Oh, good old Boris.
Big guy.
I like Boris. He's a good fella.
And Josh Berry.
Yeah,
Josh
Berry's coming in here to run.
Cole Butcher, Johnny Clark, Matt Craig, for crying out loud. There's some names we haven't heard of, but that's just part of it. I mean, as drivers leave the area and leave the business, new guys come in. So we're just going to be watching out for them.
Well, that, and there's a $10,000 bonus for the highest finishing rookie. There's going to be a lot of new names that we've never heard of that are going to try to make this race.
Yeah.
Those guys want to make that money.
Yeah. Michael Hines there, Ty Majeski, obviously. I mean, it's just huge.
And you got a possible with Chandler Smith and Ty Majeski, you're going to have a Truck Series champion that's going to be here in the next year's going to be back to Craftsman Truck Series. But that would be super cool if we had the Truck Series champion come race.
Yeah.
And Josh Berry could win the Xfinity Championship. He's in it for the Xfinity Championship. So, I mean, how super cool is that?
So you just got everybody you know and some that you haven't heard of yet. Just watch for them too. You never know.
Well, it's always a great show. I mean, it's the best show in short track racing. I'm sorry, bar none.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the big names that we've mentioned from outside the series are going to be here too. So it's interesting to take drivers from different series in different regions because, you know, they all race against different drivers. Now, you might take 2 or 3 at most, I guess, from those series and then travel around and do some of the bigger stuff. But when you put them all together, like this kind of field we're looking at, and they're really unfamiliar with some of the places they're going to be on and off track, it puts for a well put together show, and that comes on the driver and the teams. And you know, it's interesting every year, but it seems like it just keeps getting bigger.
Oh yeah. Like I said, with the winners being, you know, Cup champions or shots at the big championships up in the upper series, that's super awesome that they're still thinking, I want to win a snowball derby.
Yeah.
My career is not complete until I win this race.
It speaks to the size of this race and the
caliber of driver and team. And I mean, these guys are going to practice for 2 straight days.
Right.
And to try to get that car right. And then they're got to make the show, and then you got to qualify and make it in. And then you got to figure your strategy. And, you know, of course, there's no live pit stops, which is something that I'm glad they went to because these guys were spending exorbitant amounts of money to get pit crews in. Yeah. And the small teams were having to do it with their buddies, and they were getting their butts kicked on pit road. So I agree with the no live pit stops. And I think anything that saves a team's money is a good idea.
Right.
Yeah, it makes it twice as much more competitive, too, because you don't have the little guys trying to struggle because they're not as quick and they're not paid. They're not on the road.
Right.
It evens everything out. So it makes it a more competitive field.
Of course. And you know, like I said, the stellar field we're going to have this year, I'm really interested to see who's going to get that $10,000 bonus for being the rookie of the race.
Oh, there will be one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guarantee
there
you.
will be one.
Absolutely.
Because you got guys coming that probably sitting at home went, you see that 10 grand, Dad? yeah, we're going to go try to get that money. And that's a little bit of prestige that's going to be put up that you'll get to, hey, look, I was my first year, I won the big prize.
Yeah, we will see. And it's going to get bigger.
Absolutely.
Not to mention, don't forget, now we got the pure stock sportsmen, trucks, and outlaws and the modifieds that always put on a good show. Every local class, the smaller classes, that's some of the best racing. Some of the late model team guys actually will stay after they work on their cars. They'll go up and sit in the grandstands or sit and watch.
Yeah.
Because they want to see us local guys race. A few years ago, Bubba Pollard himself watched our race and went, man, I'd love to drive one of those. I told Ben the other night, I said, how cool would it be to put Bubba Pollard in my car and let him drive a derby?
That would be great.
Because he already won in a 07 modified.
Yeah,
he could run a 07 Sportsman. I think it'd be cool to put somebody like that just for a race deal. Say, all right, here, man, you want to drive this thing? Get in there and get it over with.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a show.
It's going to be
massive. Get your tickets, get out there, you know, and spend the week and absorb all of it, all the entertainment. It starts really Monday, Tuesday. They have a gathering downtown, or actually it's at the beach.
Hooters at the
Hooters at the beach. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just kind of hang out, get some wings and enjoy the scenery. And then Wednesday, the green flag party with chili, the music, the draw. And then it kicks off Thursday night.
Oh, and also this year, they're going to park our rigs on Wednesday night.
Really?
That's what he said. He said, we're gonna try to get you guys in there starting about 9:00 and start lining you guys up and start parking you. That way we don't have to be there at the crack of dawn on Thursday to be ready to go race. Mm-hmm. We can park our rig and then go home and then get up in the morning, you know, at a little later hour and show up instead of being there at 6:00. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was pretty neat. Now, Ed Brown did say if you're going to partake in alcohol, don't be trying to park a rig because I'm not dealing with you if you're drunk.
Right. Well,
so that's another good thing today. I'm thankful they're doing that. That ought to work out pretty good for everybody.
And the qualifying night, oh Lord, you talk about headaches and sweating.
It's fun to just sit just grab a lawn chair and just watch the qualifying times. Oh, we got a good one there. Okay, he's in there and he's in. And then like last year, that dude that just sat there he sat on the door of his race car and didn't move till it was over with. And he fell on the car. Like, thank God I made it.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I think his name was Jeff Storm.
Jeff Storm, yep,
Yeah,
it sure
he
was.
qualified 30th. I think it was his first Derby. He came down and actually made it on time, and it's almost like he'd won the race.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Even if you don't finish, it's like, dude, I made the first one. That's one of the biggest things. I mean, for years, it's been just get in this show.
Yeah.
You know?
Just $10,000 a year too late.
Dang it.
Possibly. I have to go back and look at the list from last year, but I'm just creating that scenario because we talked about it. Yeah, I'm not really sure if he was the one that would have finished rookie last year, but I can guarantee it will happen this year.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. 10 grand is a motivator.
That's a lot of incentive to get after it.
Yeah, and it's evident from some of the names that we've run down the list with that we haven't talked about so much, and some of them we're just being introduced to.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of those. I skipped over a lot, but you just check out the list for yourself on Five Flags Speedway website.
Wouldn't William Sawalich be a rookie? Didn't he not? Did he run the Derby last year?
I
think he's a rookie this year. I think if he makes the show, he might. I think we might know who might win that $10,000.
Well, there's actually 4 drivers in there, with one of those being William Sawalich.
Yeah.
We got Sammy Smith, Chandler Smith, and William Byron.
You sure Sammy Smith didn't run last year?
No.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm saying all of them have shared that Donnie Wilson Motorsports stable
indeed.
this entire year.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And Sawalich has won a bunch of pro late model races with Donnie Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Corey Haim's been in them cars too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you want to talk about a championship run right there, just from that stable. One of those 4 is probably, and I don't know if Sawalich won or was running the Derby last year.
No, I don't think
qualify.
he did. I think he'd be the leading first rookie for the Derby.
Yeah.
And
probably the favorite.
Well, Chandler Smith used to drive for Wilson, but now he's driving for Anthony Campy.
Yeah.
Because he led that last race for a long time till Bubba caught him and passed him, and then Nassie got him around and won. That's another win for Nassie that we didn't think about. He won the last Blizzard Series race.
You don't think that could have been a phone call from ACR saying, hey, you have one of your drivers available for this date?
It could be. Or, I mean, I think what usually happens with that deal is Chandler Smith made a phone call and said, do you have a late model I can borrow?
Right.
I'll write you a check. Because I'm sure Chandler Smith's probably this young kid, probably living in some crappy little apartment, making hundreds of thousands of dollars driving a truck. And he probably goes, what can I do with my money? I know what I'll do. I'll rent a late model.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to win he's won a Derby already because he moved that dude from California out of the way.
Derek Thorne.
Derek Thorne,
so,
yeah.
I mean, Derek Thorne knows him another one, so it's going to be interesting this year. And, I mean, you know, and I would love to see Bubba squeak one out, but we'll see what happens. His luck at Derby luck's been pretty bad. I mean, he had a bad record at the All-American 400 and tore his late model up. So
Yeah. Well, get ready for a big show coming up here in the first week of December. Get your tickets, get in line, and get ready to rumble.
And
speaking of, I mean, not just a big show that we're finishing up with, but there was a big show just last week. And I know we don't touch NASCAR at all, really. You know, we're short track guys, but
it happened on the short track.
It happens to qualify to us because it is on a short track, and there's a lot of news going on from all sports across the venues.
Track's just a little bit wider than it was before.
Correct.
Yeah.
And now they're starting to put casters on the side of the doors so that, you know, if it becomes available, you'll be able to use it and ride the rims, so to speak.
Oh, dude, what an incredible move by Ross Chastain. That was insane.
Yeah.
130 miles an hour at the center of the corner when everybody else was running 89 miles an hour and passed 5 cars. You only needed to pass 2 to get into the final round in NASCAR, and he passed 5 cars in the last set of turns. 5th gear, foot on the throttle, hand off the steering wheel. He said he took his hands off the wheel and just let the wall steer the car.
And it did.
It did. He rammed into the back of Brad Keselowski coming across the start-finish line and passed Denny Hamlin, his main rival. And you got to give it to Hamlin. He went, man, that was cool. He said, that was cool. I mean, you had a few whiny butts about it. No, you need to do something about it. Oh, dude, just hush.
Yeah.
That got on every single sports show in America, overseas. Formula One was even talking about it when they had the Formula One race down in Texas. And Formula One drivers this past week were talking about that move.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's not something you could do on a Formula One car.
No, you couldn't do it in a last year's Cup car. This car is just a lot tougher. Yeah. Proved how tough it was.
Yeah, you can't imagine anything like that happening. And then you might start seeing some weird stuff like that. But I guarantee you, Hamlin must have thought, where did he come from?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
What
Well,
the-
that's the spotters on Door Bumper Clear were talking about it, and they were like, you didn't have time to say anything because he passed Darrell Wallace Jr. on the outside. He said his spotter went, outside? That's all he could say. And he's like, well, where the heck did he pick up that much speed? He just ran. I mean, and the in-car is incredible because you hear him, nobody shifts into fifth gear at Martinsville. He went down the back straightaway, stuck that thing in fifth gear, and just sent it
It's just-
into the wall and never took his foot out of gas and was hitting the rev chip down the front straightaway. Dude, that's incredible. He's he comes from the short tracks.
Yeah.
He's the watermelon man. He's in the Final Four. He's my pick to win the championship. I know, like I said, we're not a NASCAR podcast, but
that was cool.
that was incredible at Martinsville. That was bad to the bone. I'd like to know where he puts them things when he gets in that car because I guarantee they spark when he walks in the dark.
Oh boy, he just had the dedication. He said, "I'm going to do it. It's checkers or wreckers,"
Yeah.
Well, you know they tested that on the simulator. They had to have. There's no way he thought, what if I run around the outside wall 90 miles an hour with my ball sack hanging out the passenger window? It just didn't work that way. They tested it, I guarantee you, and they probably went P2. He goes, got to pass 2 more. Yep, send it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some memories in there playing around in the,
Video games. He admitted that.
video
yeah.
games, and you just do crazy stuff, and then some of it sticks, and like, wow, okay, well that didn't work there. But when it comes to real stuff like that on that kind of tier, and you pull it off,
That's just.
You've seen Carl Edwards do that to Jimmy Johnson, but he went down to the bottom and tried to slide job on asphalt, and that didn't kind of work out.
No.
Kyle Larson did the same thing, I think, in Vegas just a few weeks ago.
Destroyed his car.
Yeah, and it just doesn't work well. Chastain's figured it out, and now I think he's just let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people are whining about it and wanting NASCAR to make a rule. And NASCAR, I give it to them. They said, we're going to look at it after the season. We're not going to do anything now. And they shouldn't do anything about it. Now, if it becomes the normal, if people are acting stupid, that's kind of dumb because no one that is going to, if ever does that, is just going to be a copycat from here on out. I'm sorry. That man is the GOAT on that deal, the greatest ever on a finish ever in NASCAR history. The only thing that would have made that better is if he did it and won the race. And congratulations to Christopher Bell.
Yep.
Yeah.
On winning that race and making the Final Four. Well, like I said, we have 2 Snowball Derby winners in the Final Four, so that's pretty dadgum cool.
Yep.
Now, the other side, bad part of having in Martinsville, it was pretty bad, is Ty Gibbs dumping his teammate, which, I mean, I'm sorry, that boy, I at one time listened to him and thought, well, maybe he's learning. He's a spoiled, entitled brat. You don't, I mean, his teammate was trying to make the Final Four, and all he had to do was finish second. He already won 4 races this year. He would have been in. He would have had a teammate with him. Now it's going to be him versus 3 junior motorsports cars.
Yeah.
Well,
And his own teammate's pissed at him, so he's liable to, not help.
no.
Brandon Jones is leaving that team. He's going to junior motorsports. You don't think he's not going to help a junior motorsports car win that championship if he gets a chance? Oh, yes.
Well, I think this is, I'm just speaking out too as an opinionated race car news enthusiast.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the turning point where Ty Gibbs finally gets a word from his owner, Grandpa, Coach,
saying, you might want to stop that.
championship. Yeah, you might want to just take a good look at yourself, go in the bathroom for 3 hours and look at yourself and say, I need to be different.
Well, and he compared himself to Jesus in the driver thing. He said, well, Jesus was hated too. It's like, dude, you can't compare yourself to that. But and it's the spoiled, entitled brat that he showed himself to be a spoiled, entitled brat because he did this John Force burnout down the front straight like he'd won the Daytona 500, gets out and waves at the crowd like, yeah, give me all the booze you can give me. And they booed him. The boo birds were out.
Oh, yeah.
You can't race away. And it goes back to youth versus experience. And like we've talked in the past about entitled, spoiled kids, and he's an entitled, spoiled brat because his granddaddy is who he is and his dad is who he is. There's plenty of money there. They don't care. They could probably run that car without sponsorship. And if he keeps acting that way, he may not have sponsorship because he's supposed to be moving to the Cup Series. He's probably going to be the one driving the 18 car. If I was Grandpa, I'd be like, not so fast.
Right.
You're going one more year in Xfinity Series. We're going to put somebody else in that 18 car, and you're going to sit down and learn how to have some humility.
You need to learn. You need to show the maturity that it takes to race at that level.
Yes, because he stinks in a Cup car right now.
Yeah, he's said that there would be consequences coming down, and they're working together as a team, as an organization, as a professional, and as a family all together. And you can imagine having to take, how old is he? 18?
I don't think he's 18 yet.
18. He has to be to get
18. Okay, I think he's 18 or 19.
18, maybe 19. But yeah, it's youth and experience. But I think this could be a turning point for him to change, rather than waiting it 10 years down the road and him just fading off into the wind.
Well, it'd be different if he wrecked somebody else. It would still be bad. But to wreck your own teammate that's trying to make the next round, and you could have let him win the race, and you both could have advanced, and it'd be 2 JGR cars versus 2 Dale Jr. cars. Now you got 3 Dale Jr. cars versus your 1 JGR car, and the guy that's moving to JGR is driving for your teammate. Like I said, he's not going to be your best friend, Ty Gibbs. He's liable to stuff you in the fence, which is what I would do. I'd just squeeze him in the wall and ruin his day.
He's going to have a target on his back, no doubt about it.
And then I'd get out and do a mic drop. Blam, I'm out of here. See ya. Deuces, I'm out.
Well, it's obviously something else we're going to kind of touch on. We'll keep up with it, but we'll touch on it when that time comes to, see how his future ends up as we go along with what we're doing. Big races coming up. I can't say any more. And
one thing I do want to say.
Yeah.
I was out last week, as you well know, the only thing I can say about that is ouch. But you hear all the time, Five Flag Speedway, you hear we've got the best in the business. Escambia County EMS. I got to give them props. Those folks are good.
Yeah, we're glad you're okay, dude.
Yeah,
we were worried about you last week. I mean, that's...
I took a gravity check at about 8-10 feet and fractured 5 ribs, bruised lung, various and sundry lacerations. Breathing is not fun, but those guys got me there. Folks at Sacred Heart Hospital, Haley, Bailey, and Courtney. Thank you very much.
Right. And, we've had to take a couple of comfort breaks here because of that. And we do. Yeah. Appreciate you being here and glad you're okay.
Yeah, we're glad you're all right, dude.
Yeah.
Just be careful on them ladders, dude.
Yeah.
We're not getting any younger. All of us fall and hurt ourselves, man. It's not fun anymore.
I don't bounce anymore.
No, we don't. Used to we'd hit something like you just get up and knock the wind out of you. Now it's like, I broke something. Help.
Tried to pick up the earth.
Didn't work.
Nope.
No, it sucks. But hey, man, glad to have you back. Glad you're okay. Glad you're here with us, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's not Short Track Guys podcast every Wednesday if there's not 3 of us here.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, even remotely, this is not the same. Yeah. So, guys, it's always been, a pleasure, and we can't wait to keep going with this, as always. And thank you so much for our listeners out there. We appreciate it. Your support is our motivation, and that's what keeps us going mostly. Jim, good luck. We'll talk and catch up with you on Wednesday with that Sportsman deal. And we'll come up with some results next week. Yeah, and I believe, as a tradition goes, we've got one thing left, and Ted, you do the honors.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Let's go, Brandon.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
Good night.